This morning, I have two gentlemen joining me for the news review segment. First on my list in the studio with me right now is Dr. Ezekiel Obeng, a member of the NPP communications team. It's good to see you again, Ezekiel. How have you been?
My God's grace, I'm doing well. How about you?
I'm great, thank you.
Yeah.
So in the course of the conversation, our second guest will join us and I'll introduce him to you. But let's set the ball rolling. You have a minute or two to take us through what's top of your mind this morning.
It's our manifesto launch over the weekend. Good morning to our viewers and good morning to our flag bearer, wherever he is. He's earmarked another 3 constituencies to tour today. You know, he didn't rest. Right after the launch, he moved back onto the grounds from Monday and he's covering some grounds in the eastern region. So a very good morning to him and the team. And we hope that and pray that the good people of Ghana would listen to his message of hope and the bold solutions to give the NPP another term and Dr. Bawumia's vision of bold solutions, the next chapter of the country being actualized. So that's what we've been up to. We are still campaigning. We've launched our manifesto and we are getting positive feedbacks from interested persons and stakeholders and other organizations, particularly our focus on businesses and the private sector. You know, if you read through the documents, one of the key things that stand out is the fact that Dr. Bawumia's administration would cede at least 3% of our GDP to the private sector, boost the private sector.
Bawumia is for businesses.
Exactly, for businesses. And it's been the stock and trade of the MPP. President Kufuor brought the golden age of doing business. And we are focusing once again on the business of the private persons and entities. At the same time, looking at all avenues to creating jobs for our youth.
Aside the politics, right, as a regular Ghanaian citizen, a doctor, to be precise, when you go around in your daily interactions with your people, I don't know if you're practicing right now, what do you think, how do you think the people are faring? No politics this time. Like, what do you think is the genuine assessment of the people of Ghana as we speak, heading to the December polls?
Yeah, the genuine assessment of the Ghanaian is that we have seen what government has done, but sometimes it's the financial conditions that people say could have been better. And of course, if you look globally, what is pertaining, even in other advanced countries, you can clearly tell the toll the global exigencies has had on every person globally. So yeah, that's a genuine assessment. And of course, the good thing is that every government, ministry, agency, institution, particularly my field, which is health, anything that government needs to do or whatever government prioritized, government still has hands on those things to make life quite easier for the Ghanaian.
You went right back to governance and politics. I mean, it is what it is. Let's get into the newspapers. I'll start with the Daily Graphic. We do some major stories and then I'll come to you. On the front page, Gets Fund completes over 3,000 projects. Deterioration of petroleum revenue-funded projects worrying. On the drought issue we're experiencing, 1.18 billion Ghana cedis agri investment in danger. Cocoa Board breaks 32-year loan cycle and buys 2024-2025 season cocoa with own funds. Let's start there. So in a historic shift from the norm, the Ghana Cocoa Board has stated that it will not be raising the annual syndicated loan to finance the purchase of cocoa beans for the 2024 and 2025 crop season, which begins on September 1st. And this marks the first time in 32 years that the cocoa sector or the sector manager and the regulator will be self-financing its major operations, breaking away from its reliance on the syndicated loan from mainly foreign banks to finance the purchase of cocoa beans. And Mr. Eju was saying that this will save the country some $150 million. When we brought you that story this morning in our business segment, listen to Dr. Sumin saying that he doesn't even understand why it's taking us 32 years to get here, because this is what we need, you know. But however, the decision by Cocoa Board to forgo, and I'm still reading, the offshore loan is expected to have implications for the Ghana's foreign exchange reserves and the stability of the country's currency, that is the cedi, because of the cedi depreciation concerns. Let me do two more stories and then we'll discuss. On the international front, Nigerians outraged over President's new plane. This is interesting. So many Nigerians have reacted with outrage, after a new plane was bought for President Bola Tinubu at a time where the economy is experiencing its worst crisis in the generation. And the purchase comes less than 2 weeks after thousands took to the streets across the country to protest at rising hunger and the cost of living. That's 1st August protest that saw many, many, many young people out on the streets asking for better conditions of living. One last story, and then we start the conversation, Ezekiel. So on this drought that we're experiencing, and it's not just in Western Africa, I mean, it's the entire continent. 1.18 billion Ghana cedis are great investments in danger. And the country is at a risk of experiencing drought across the middle and northern belts. And this is the amount invested in farmers into agriculture in the middle and northern areas of the country. So far, we've invested 1.18 billion Ghana cedis in agriculture in the middle and northern areas of the country. And the Ghana incentive-based risk-sharing system for agriculture learning is the one saying this. And the threat comes as Ghana Meteorological Agency predicts that areas within the transition zone of the country are likely to experience longer than usual dry spells this year, which may result in severe drought. We are already experiencing that. GMET has also recommended to farmers in areas that are likely to observe normal to above normal rainfall, late season start dates, and short to normal dry spells, especially those in the East Coast, to focus on short maturation crops. And the question I keep asking about this drought issue is, what are we doing with irrigation? GETS Fund completes over 3,000 projects, and the Ghana Education Trust Fund has completed 3,001 projects between 2017 and 2024. And out of the number, over 1,820, representing 61% of the projects, predated the state period, while remaining 1,174, representing 39%, are new initiatives. That is a statement issued in Accra by GETS Fund. And quote, with the help of these funds under the projects, Emergency Secondary Intervention Project, Basic School Improvement Initiative, TVET Centers for Excellence, Model STEM Schools, Model KGs, among others, have been completed between 2017 and 2024. Interesting. Yeah. Let's start the conversation from Cocoa Board.
It's quite interesting and quite heartwarming. I'm hearing the Cocoa Board CEO make those pronouncements. Clearly, we can't do the same thing all the time and expect different results. So this is quite novel. Congratulations to Cocoa Board and congratulations to the country. This is not me sounding partisan, but of course, whenever there is any new lead that portends quite a very good opportunity or future for the country, then we all need to rally behind such idea to make sure that the Ghanaian and the good people of Ghana get the full benefit of it. Clearly, like we said, it's 32 years, what have we been doing? But of course, there's always a first time in everyone's life. So Cocoa Board has taken a very bold initiative to making sure that they self-finance their expenditure vis-a-vis the buying of cocoa crops for the ensuing year. So we believe that clearly the opportunities that would arise from this arrangement, I mean, even goes beyond the $150 million that's earmarked to be saved. It also tells that, indeed, the Ghanaian is capable of managing his or her own affairs.
Right.
We speak of certain effects on our forex, yes, but we should be rest assured that we have a lot of plans already laid in place to making sure that we don't get such shocks or backlashes with our currency. The government started the...
But I mean, I wonder, where are we going to get the funds from?
I had read through, and I believe that they wouldn't make such huge pronouncements without making such arrangements. It would have been better if the communication came with the sources of funds, but they are looking within. It clearly shows that over the years, they've worked and they've made some profits, and they know where to comb for monies to make it a success. So we should ask questions, and at the same time, we should encourage Cocoa Board to making sure that this novel initiative is well executed to the benefit of the country. We spoke about the shortfall.
I ask because of, we are under an IMF regime, so yeah, there are certain restrictions on how much we can spend and even where we can take money from and all that. So it would be nice, it would be good, prudent for them to be more transparent on their plan on where to get the money if they are not going to external sources for, syndicated
Clearly,
loan. Yeah.
Governments have been very unanimous and meticulous with the IMF arrangements. I mean, bearing in mind the difficulties that the Ghanaian is going through. And if you look at the various two past reviews that we've had, we've not missed out on any opportunity to making sure that our books are balanced, we are in good state. It's the reason why after each quarter or each round of monies disbursed to the country, it takes the country a very short or limited time to get approval from the IMF for the next tranche of money to be reduced. So I believe that everything government plans doing vis-a-vis the economy, where to push money, where not to push money, everything is well tailored and well within the means of the IMF program we are running. I don't think government will go beyond the IMF program to do anything that would jeopardize the economy of the state. So let's be rest assured that, of course, in taking such a bold step, all these were considered to making sure that, yes, we are on track and the economy is recovering without any misstep that will bring a backlash to us as a people.
On the issue of droughts, the question is, if we were paying attention or if we were more intentional with agricultural sector, do you think the impact of climate change, and this drought is not any government doing, it's just climate change, right? But do you think if we were more intentional about our approach to the agricultural sector, we would be losing or stand the risk of losing about 1.18 billion Ghana cedis investment in the agricultural sector?
Our government has been very deliberate with agriculture. One of the flagship programs the government keeps touting itself to be part of the achievements of this government is the planting for food and jobs. We've gone through the first phase. We've learned some of the problems and the difficulties that we encountered during the first phase to launch.
But specifically about this,
I'll come there.
It's because farmers are still depending on rainfall.
To launch the phase 2 of the project. And part of the phase 2 is mechanized irrigation, technology, and the use of digitalization to monitor our farms. So indeed, government saw the problems that we encountered the first phase vis-a-vis mechanization and agricultural input in terms of monies or stipend to help the farmer. Because indeed, at the end of the day, from the phase 1, we're mostly doing agricultural inputs without thinking of how the farmer is going to finance his or her agricultural produce. But of course, as parts of the lessons from the phase 1, those are parts of the things that we learned. There's been some few irrigation points that the country has earmarked. If you go around Eastern region, Volta region, up to Oti region and the north. There, if you go to the Ministry of Agri's website, there are copious readings that you can find on how we want to mitigate the effect of climate change on agriculture, vis-a-vis making sure that our irrigation farms are well or up and doing.
I actually thought that was what One District, One Dam was supposed to solve. So what's the latest on that?
Okay, so yes, with the One District, One Dam, obviously...
Because if we had those dams, we wouldn't be depending on rainfall. It is
not a dam that's going to generate electricity. In the local dialects, there are the ponds...
No, but we're not talking about electricity.
Yes, there are the ponds that the people in the northern part of the country use to, irrigate their farms during the lean season, and of course use the rest to feed their herds and build their mud houses. So yes, government is well on course. The last time I was there, at least 2020, I was in the Upper East region, and I toured a few areas from Sandema to Kanjaga to Fubisi, Pusiga, up to Zebila and Boko, and I saw quite a number of them. And really, they are up there, and the people who were thought of for such projects are actually reaping the benefit. But the effect of climate change...
Recently, let me interject briefly. Recently, we did a report on safe water and how people in the northern belt are struggling with water. They have to trek for long hours, long kilometers of walking just to go and fetch water from somewhere. And it's disheartening, it's sad to see what's, the quality of the water that you're drinking. And you say that you've been to these places, the Bila and the rest, and you've seen these dams? I've
seen a couple of them from the places that I visited in the Upper East region. I saw a couple of them. But of course, in the area of safe drinking water, the pond cannot be, in quotes, a safe drinking water like the pipe-borne water that flows through a pipe. On the issue of pipe-borne water, we can have a day to discuss what Ghana Water Company has been doing over the years. I know they've made giant strides in making sure that we have enough potable water. At least they've added about 4.5 million gallons of water to our stock as a country. But of course, there's always room for improvement, and especially in certain places that traditionally do not have access to potable water. I believe there's always room for improvement, and we can always do more for the people. But on the issue of agriculture and the impacts of these small dams or ponds on their farming. I have been a witness to them. I won't come and sit in the studio. I only chose Upper East region because that's where
that's what you've seen. And you do communicate for the party.
Exactly.
So tell me, how many dams, as we speak, have been completed and operational? How many dams?
It's on top of my head, it's quite difficult. I have to go back to my notes. I don't want to churn out any figure to your
No, if you have it, just tell us. You can refer and tell us.
I can later refer and get you the figures for you to put out. But of course, we would not come and tell the people this is what we've done when you've not done it. Because clearly, you can always go and fact check out. Joy FM, I remember prior to 2020 elections, when Dr. Bawumia mounted the platform and shared what we had done as a country. Within a matter of days, Joy FM and Asempa FM, the consistent program, you had your journalists all over the country fact checking what we had done. So yes, we know what we need to churn out, and we will not come and say things we've not done just for us to look good in the eye of the public. But we should be rest assured that irrespective of how much success we've chalked, there's always room for improvement until the last Ghanaian has potable water to drink, which runs through his or her pipe unabated every day, every second. The job is not done. Even if you've achieved 80%, 70%, 90%, and the last person hasn't had the opportunity to benefit from these essential amenities, there's always a lot that we can do. So, of course, the effect of climate change is all there for us to see. It bestows on us as a people, as a community, for us to change our ways, our way of even farming, our way of even how much pollutant we throw into the environment, burning, and what have you, the trees we are cutting to build and all that. So environmental factors, and a lot that we can do to save our environment. Because indeed, no matter how much you plant, no matter how much you plant with mechanized irrigation, if climate is to take a toll on you, you can have all the beautiful points.
Great. Let's move on. What's your impression of the outrage of the people of Nigeria on the back of their president buying a new plane, just after we've seen that much publicized demonstration? What's your impression?
It goes beyond the plane. It speaks to the economic situation in Nigeria. After President Tinubu took over, he reduced subsidies on fuel, and we saw the fuel shortages that Nigerians experienced. Cars parked, massed up at filling stations without getting fuel. There was a BBC report that...
I have to do this. I'm sorry. We have to take a short break. We'll be back and the conversations will continue. Please, don't go away. Thank you for your patience and for sticking with us. Let me introduce our second guest, the Member of Parliament for Trefo Atimokwa, Honorable David Vondi. Welcome to the program.
Thank you, my dear.
Okay. We had to take a quick break in the middle of the conversation to make room for you to join us.
Great.
So let me let you end your trail of thought, and then I'll come to you for your take on what we're discussing.
So like I was saying, it speaks to the economic situation in Nigeria. Honorable Tinubu, His Excellency, took over, and he had to withdraw subsidies on fuel, saying that the country is not in the position to subsidize fuel. We've seen how the economic tweak he made, the stable exchange rates they had is now a floating exchange rate, for example, and we've seen the effect of that on their currency. So the effect goes beyond just buying the aircraft for himself. Indeed, if things were rosy and things were good, especially for a country that has also had effect of COVID ramifications on them, and what we saw with Nigeria, their power situation, their energy situation, and all that.
I get everything you're saying. The point I'm trying to draw out is, what is your impression of the action of a president buying a new plane in the middle of these economic woes that the people of Nigeria are facing? What's your impression of that particular act?
I don't know the internal security arrangements and what intelligence Nigerians have picked vis-a-vis their number one gentleman of the state. That, for example, for all you know, he doesn't have a good standing, let's say, aircraft to himself. And we need to be cautious of the security of the first gentleman of the state. We can understand that things are not good, so yes, he should be more empathetic. Look at how your people are feeling, the economic situation, for you to adjust equally. But at the end of the day, I'll be quite indigenous to sit here and say that it's either a good plan or a bad plan. I need to know the security assessment that was made that probably drew the attention of the authorities to make sure that they get a befitting aircraft for the state. But of course, upon hindsight, you might feel that Nigerians are going through it. So of course, it bestows on the president to be a bit more, measured in what he asks for or what he does. But we need to also juxtapose that with a few technical and security issues that the internal security arrangement could have picked. That probably might have paved way for such arrangement.
Okay. Mr. Von D, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
So we're just discussing how the president of Nigeria bought a new plane amidst the economic woes that the people are facing, and that much publicized demonstration for better conditions of living and all that. We also talked about the cocoa board breaking away from that 32-year loan cycle. This time around, they want to buy cocoa beans from their own funds. So they're moving away from the syndicated loans to do that. However, there may be some implications on Forex, because, you know, they're moving away from loans coming from external sources. Then it has some implications. And then the question was, how are they going to fund that? Because we are still under an IMF regime. What are your thoughts? But first, you can tell me what's top of your mind, and then we get into the conversations.
Thank you very much. Let me say good morning to those of you who are watching us this morning, and my apology for coming late. It's been a little hectic here and there, you know, but it's fine. I mean, Nigeria, you know, I'm sure should be a country that is leading Africa in terms of economic activities, and unfortunately, we're not seeing that. Africa as a whole, our leaders are not demonstrating modesty and are not showing the way. Because if you see what's happening in, Nigeria, where the youth are demonstrating against cost of living and very horrible situations comes to jobs, lifestyle in general. And what you can do is to go buy a plane. You're not demonstrating modesty, and you're not demonstrating leadership that the people should trust you for. For me, I thought that it was a decision that should not be taken by now, as of now, and it would have waited and solved the issues, get those demonstrating the entire country a little more calmed, and if you want to do something like that, he could go ahead and do it. But for now, it's not a good decision, in my opinion. It's just not a good decision. Yes, I agree with you that...
Do you think this action reflects on, other African countries?
Yes, of course.
Putting Ghana in context?
Yes, of course. When you see a president in Ghana who is actually hiring a private jet, when our economy is actually deteriorating and our dollar is chasing those who put the dollar in jail, and Ghanaians' youth are not getting a job to do, and the cost of living is actually aggravating, and things are getting horrible in this country. You see a president who go around hiring private jets. That's not modesty. That's not showing leadership. So it's an African problem. I don't know why we want to look huge, big, when we are not big. I mean, the person, a president, your citizenry don't have water to drink, potable water. Schools are not built. Look at what's happening to even the whole famous free SHS, the kind of food that the kids are eating. And what the president can do is to live a very luxury life, a life that is just not justifiable. You're not having,
No, well, but I mean, you cannot say for sure that it's our money, can you?
Of course, it's our money. I mean, where is the president getting money from? He's not engaged in any private business. He's only engaged in superintending over the activities of the country, and that's it. And we pay him. He said he was going to protect the public purse. I don't know whether you understand that. If a public purse that $1 was selling at 3.9, Ghana cedis, and that you said the one managing the affairs of the country at the time is incompetent, okay? And then you said you were going to protect the public purse. You were shouting all over the place that there was, a corruption. One of the corruption cases they cited was the airbag scandal. You remember that? And today, the very special prosecutor you appointed said His Excellency John Dramani Mahama is as clean as snow. And I have known that all this while. And the same, another, person you appointed says you are a mother serpent of corruption, okay? And so, and at the end of the day, you're running this country to where you're running it to, and the profligacy is not stopping. That is the style of African leaders. And I don't think it is something that's going to help the African people.
Now, you just said categorically that is the style of African leaders. You are a leader yourself. You're a member of parliament.
No, I'm a member of parliament.
Can you really exclude yourself from that category?
No, I mean, that is, you see, if you want to show leadership, you must be selfless. You must make sure that your people benefit from you. And I'll give you a typical example. I was elected a member of parliament for the good people of Chifoetimakwa. This is about 3.5 years ago. And as I speak to you now, I've been able to train youth in many, various entrepreneurship, businesses like seamstress, hairdressing, driving, and more than 3,000 people, okay? Giving back to the people. Making sure the little you get, you give it back to the people, and making sure the people believe in you, you serve the people. President Akufo-Addo said something, and I thought that he was going to walk the talk. He said that if you want to make money, go to the private sector. Don't come to his government. Unfortunately, he'd rather turn his government into a money-making place.
Yeah,
let's
make progress.
So
let's do some other stories.
Where our leaders will not serve the people, but will lord over the people.
We do have to
It's a problem.
Yes, so it's an African problem. Points well made. Community center, I'm doing some other stories here in the daily graphic, and then we move on. So community center accommodation for Nkonya teachers and nurses has been inaugurated. A community center and a general quarters accommodation for teachers and nurses have been inaugurated at Nkonya and Abena communities in the Wasa-Memfi East Municipality of the Western Region. The facilities were provided under the auspices of Edikan Mine, a subsidiary of Perseus Mining Ghana Limited. And the Nkonya community is the beneficiary of the community center, while Abena has the general quarters for health workers and teachers. Let me quickly run through this paper, and then we can end it and then get to you. GJ opens book of condolence for Godwin Avenogbo, Winneba Youth Choir in Malta, Ghana for Ghana Missions anniversary. Congratulations to them. I hope they make us proud, because that's my alma mater. Ensure transparency, accountability in petroleum revenue use. The Public Interest and Accountability Committee has urged journalists to use their editorial platforms to promote transparency and accountability in the management and use of petroleum revenues. The chair of PIAC, Emerita Professor Elizabeth Shandoff, was speaking at a media engagement on the management and use of petroleum revenues in the country at Prampram in the Nigu-Prampram district of the Greater Accra region on Tuesday, and it formed part of an outreach program and community engagement by PIAC in the area. Two last stories. The Ghana Institution of Engineering has engaged political parties to outline and advocate for strategic interventions in key sectors affecting the socio-economic development of Ghana. And the president of the Ghana Institution of Engineering, Kwabena Bempong, explained that the engagement was critical to the development of Ghana by helping shape the manifestos of the various parties as they begin their campaigns. We've seen the NPP's manifesto, and the NDC is set to launch theirs this weekend on Saturday, right?
Yeah, that's fine.
The need for tolerance in Ghana's Fourth Republic. Firms honored at Business Finance Stu Lands hold mid-year conference. On the back page, Ghana Atomic Energy Commission to transform or rolls out new technology to transform agriculture. We need that. We cannot keep depending on rainfall for agriculture needs. And First Bank Max Week presents 265,000 Ghana cedis to 4 organizations. Quick reflections on these headlines, and then I'll come to your newspapers. I'll start with you, Ezekiel.
The one that has to do with the community center and the accommodation for teachers is what, to me, is striking enough. I mean, aside the accountability that we need to ensure with our petroleum process, that, I mean, people like you are encouraged to use the editorial to, help state institutions to make sure that we are accountable to the people. So yes, there's a lot we still need to do. to help our teachers, to help our doctors and the health workers that are posted across the country to get accommodation. And it bestows on government to keep doing what government is doing, state-owned enterprises and private organizations, their community assessments and giving back to society. So yes, it's quite a laudable idea, and we need to help encourage all stakeholders to be part of such a good venture. And we've launched our manifesto. I think you made a bit statement on our manifesto, and it's out there, the bold solutions, the pollution that Dr. Bawumia has proffered to help businesses, to help stakeholders, to help the Ghanaian youth to create jobs. And like we started with, what strikes me most is the fact that Dr. Bawumia seeks to situate the private sector as the fulcrum of his government, proffering good leadership and good governance and exemplary leadership as such, to making sure that all other sectors come as a synergy together, making sure that we move forward. And I entreat every Ghanaian, just as the Guta has come out to state that indeed those policies are what the businesses need. We need to create more jobs, and by creating more jobs, we need to look at the private sector, empower them, expand them, so that they can recruit more people into their fold, as together with all government to do mainstream.
Right.
So yes, we are waiting what the NDC brings on Saturday, but of course, we're already taking the lead, and Ghanaians have seen through the crystal clear picture we've created moving forward for our country.
Have the NPP actually created a crystal clear plan or vision?
The picture is clear.
I guess the question really is how Ghanaians will be absorbing this vision, right? So the onus is on us as citizens. But I saw you, making some, you were sighing and doing, You disagree with what he's saying?
I mean, we've all seen Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. The vice president made all kinds of promises. And we've seen his performance for the last, past 8 years. And so, I mean, everybody know who he is. I mean, if you go Google who is the liar in Ghana politics, you see Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. So whatever he says, I mean, Ghanaians are not taking it serious. This is a man who says, when I come, I'm going to, take talk tax away. I mean, e-levy. But he implemented the e-levy. I mean, he's also still in government. He's the leader of the NPP now. He's the chairman of the economic management team, He is the vice president of the Republic of Ghana. If you have anything to do, he should do it now. He says, when I come, I'm going to take the bet tax away, but he introduced it. Okay, this is a man who is all over the place promising job.
I just wanted to correct that statement. The point is that who is a liar in Ghana, whatever will come up is Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia.
Well, I'm sure. I mean, it depends on where you are going.
And he's still the vice president.
Well,
so we have
of course.
to be circumspect.
Yes, I'm not taking that from him. Okay. He's the vice president, and whatever he says never works. He's the man who says he actually arrested the dollar, put the dollar in jail, and the dollar was not going to rise again. Remember when the dollar was 3.9? Ghana cedis to the dollar. And then Dr. Bawumia was the one who introduced the word incompetent. He called his political opponents all kind of names. He comes to office and do nothing. This is a man who ran our economy to total, garbage.
If you've been listening to the NPP communication, they're saying that, yes, we are not where we want to be. But there are also some external factors that they had no control over that brought us to where we are now. Ezekiel, is that not correct? So we talk about the Russian-Ukraine war. You can respond to that. So I'm just saying, these are all facts that, from what they are saying, that you should include in your submission.
It's interesting that all these economic, external factors like the COVID-19, Ukraine-Russia war. I'm sure when the Queen died, they actually attributed the Ghanaians' economic woes to the Queen's death as well. And these factors escaped, jumped over all the countries around, and then landed in Ghana alone. Go to Cote d'Ivoire and ask how much you borrow money in Cote d'Ivoire. You pay not more than 14%. Okay, go to Ghana Bank and borrow money. And you see, you are paying
around
almost,
20-something.
So the point we're making is that you cannot be saying.
How much are you paying?
As at July, it was 20.
How much are you paying under NDC?
You cannot be saying, hold on.
No, you can answer the question. How much were we paying under John
I don't think that.
It was 30.7.
No, wrong.
30.7.
Hold on, please. I don't think that you want to compare John Dramani Mahama's economic, situation
we
in 2016
we can,
to what we're facing today.
We can actually compare.
Every honest Ghanaian will not want to do that. The point I'm making to you is that today, if you're a businessman and you go to whatever to import goods, Abosu kind people and all that, and you needed $100,000 at the time of John Dramani Mahama, you needed only 390,000 Ghana cedis.
From where?
Today, you need 1.6 million to get $100,000. And this is a man who was shouting all over the place that he is the solution to Ghana's economic problems. And you come and you perform like this, and you want us to believe you that you've launched a manifesto? That's not correct.
My first comment has to do with my little disappointment in the Honorable MP this morning. Certain pronouncements are not expected of an MP. I mean, we can allow party foot soldiers, in quotes, with all due respect, to sit on platforms to call our leaders, name call them and call them certain unpalatable, words. I can't sit here, with all due respect, and use certain pronouncements on Mr. Dramani Mahama. At least he can be a father, and he's been a former president of the state. I do not agree with the style of leadership. I do not agree that he performed any better during his presidency. But I won't sit on a platform, join news, and call Mr. Mahama names. And we have an honorable MP.
Nobody's calling anybody names. Nobody is calling anybody names.
The sitting vice president
lied about his performance, and that is the gospel.
Should the honorable MP step out today? I'll come to the issues.
He actually cited circumstances that feed into his description of what a lie is. So let's stick to the issue, not assessment of the character.
Should the honorable MP step out today and the child on the street is using certain names for MPs, would he have the moral courage to correct that child?
Of course, if the MPs
and I believe you are
done what they're calling the MPs.
Coming back to the issues, you made mention of lending rate, and you are saying lending rate today is hovering around 20, and that means the economy is bad.
27 or so, yeah.
And that you was 30.7.
Right.
So how do you say 27 today in a COVID-stricken economy is bad? And when there was no COVID.
Did you say a COVID-stricken economy
to
describe this one,
of
this
course,
current
yes.
economy?
We are still recovering from COVID.
That is not true.
Global economic situation.
Mr. Bondi, please allow me to. Is that why we are still paying COVID-19 taxes?
If you want to know the situation, compare the world economic growth 10 years before COVID, doing an average of 3.1%. Today, that the economy in the world has sort of stabilized, recovering from COVID. The best we are doing is 2.6, 2.7 globally. It tells you the picture we have economically, globally. So if indeed in this economy that you claim is bad, everything is on a downward hill, everything has spots, we are lending around 20, and you are saying that what you did better, the future and the heaven you gave Ghanaians were borrowing at 30.7, then clearly you all know who a better manager of the
land
economy,
on that point. Thank you. So take me through your newspaper. We do have a few minutes to go.
As to what Dr. Bawumia has said and what hasn't said. Dr. Bawumia is on record, the best vice president we ever had. We challenged the NDC to come and tell us just one thing. Their candidate, Mr. Mahama,
Ezekiel, we are working with time. Let's get into
a vice president. And of course, if indeed you can't beat...
I would have to move on from if you don't get into the paper.
Go on the path of what Honorable is going today. On my paper, what I have today...
That's the Chronicle.
The Chronicle, the banner headline on the front page. It says, Bono grabs 99 drip machines. And of course, we've all seen the president launch the district road improvement program that seeks to make sure that in our districts, the places that government is yet to touch, to give them first class or even second class roads, government is making sure that they have a set of construction machines to make sure that every district...
What's the banner story there?
So indeed, Bono has grabbed, yes, I saw a story of Water Region. They've also grabbed their drip machines, and I believe the story is uniform across board. And everyone in your district should expect what government has for you with your road servicing.
I see GBC something.
So GBC board fires and the minister responds.
Right.
We saw what's made the news on social media in particular concerning the All-African Games and how much monies were paid as to whether the amount was indeed received by Ghana Broadcasting.
The discrepancy between $3 million and $105,000 million.
We've seen contracts. We've seen contract documents. Yesterday, we saw some payment documents. We've seen what the Honorable Minister, his press release that came. And of course, if you sit back, you can clearly tell that indeed there was some miscommunication somewhere from certain quarters. And GBC, I believe, have come to clarify the issues. Even those who took to social media to start lambasting the government, accusing the government of certain shoddy or some obscure dealings have all retracted.
Do you think that is all that it is, miscommunication?
I believe it's a matter of miscommunication, and it's purely a matter of miscommunication. Otherwise, you will not have those documents, unless we have been told that those documents were printed the very minute those stories broke. We've seen the corrections and the clarifications on the issue.
For the sake of time,
we should put things to rest. But of course, if you still have to ask questions, we've passed the Right Information Bill. You can lead your news outlets or your media outlets to ask for better particulars.
Mr. Bondi, you get a chance to respond, but first take me through your paper. You have the New Republic, just the stories on the front page.
Yeah, Peace Act pause, as NDC gives 6 conditions.
Yes.
Yes, I think that this is just the best way to go, and nobody to fault us. We saw the elections in 2020 where 8 people were killed for doing just nothing, absolutely nothing. They were killed by operators of this government.
Oh.
And
are they operators of this government?
Of course, I mean, he's who is the leader of this country? Who is the leader of this country? I understand they were shot by security people, supposed security people, and nobody mentioned it one day. His Excellency, Akufo-Addo, never mentioned a word. He had the opportunity to address the nation so many times. He never said, oh, a condolence to those that lost their loved ones and so forth and so on. Ever. This is the kind of government we're going to have an election with. And we are saying that we will sign the peace, document, whatever it is, but we expect Ghanaians to know that Akufo-Addo and his people must also be ready to walk the path of peace. And so we expect them. So we expect them to also sign.
Minister for Sports.
That was, I mean, one of the most horrible, absolutely horrible, corruption scandal that I have seen is the GBC thing. You are telling me to believe that when you hand over a contract to GBC to cover the African Games, then you that hand over the contract to GBC, you'll go around looking for other technical teams to appoint for the one you appointed, you giving a contract to. If I've given a contract to you, I expect you to execute the contract by getting subcontractors, that the expertise that you do not have to help you, but not the ministry that gave the contract, go around looking for expertise and paying them. And some of the payments they did are so horrible. Better viewing skills, $20,000. And I was scandalized, okay? This is just an afterthought. The gentleman was used to make money for the MPP as usual. He decided to come up and clear his name and said, I got only $105,000. I never got $3.9 million, $3.5 million. Okay, so he was called upon to do something about it. So he must bring some internal memo, requesting payment for people and subcontractors, which of course is not the job of the ministry to do, just to clear his name. It's just an afterthought. That was a very huge scandal. And I can promise them we'll look into it. We'll look into it.
Let's stick to the facts, okay?
The fact is that
this man says that he has received only $105,000. And we've seen that documents that had Silicon Productions and all that. And it was actually $105,000 that was allocated to just GBC. I can pull up that document. So the other things that you're saying, let's just stick to the facts and not misinform anyone. And I'm sure that this is progressing. We'll follow the story and bring you updates.
GBC received $105,000 United States dollars. Unfortunately, the attempt to put on him, GBC, that they received $3.5 million, the gentleman did not agree. And all these you know, call back and go afterthought and get document to just, when the guy was making
when you say afterthought to get documents,
yes.
you don't have evidence to back that claim.
No, look at their internal memo. I don't have it here, but look at their internal memo that they brought after all these.
So what I'm saying is
that it will tell you
that's the memo they put out.
So
you
the
do not
memo,
have evidence to show that it was an afterthought. It was generated, you know, after the controversy came out. That's what I'm saying.
When the GBC boss was making a statement that they paid him only $105,000, was he not having the memo in front of him? Was the memo not available? Okay, the memo was available. So why did he
make this your conclusion?
Why didn't he speak to the memo? Why didn't he mention that, okay, GBC were given a contract of $3.5 million, and these are the people, Silicon, blah, 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 and the people that we subcontracted and paid them? Why didn't he say so?
Thank you. Our time is up.
But why would he go back saying all these things after this thing broke out? So the point is that it's just an afterthought.
I'll give you the final word.
It's just an afterthought.
Clearly, we expected nothing but what Honorable had demonstrated.
No, I mean, that is the truth. You guys, your scandals
Mr. Bondi, we have to go. Let him
it's
give
all
us
about
a wrap up.
insinuations without speaking to facts. And I'm glad you pushed Honorable to produce facts contrary to the facts available. And he couldn't do that.
But I can assure Ghanaians that this matter is a very serious matter.
NDC is going to look into everything. After their honeymoon, should they win power after their honeymoon, I believe all that they will do with the rest of the time to look into things. But to end on the peace pacts, Honorable is laming claims and blaming President Akufo-Addo for people who died. May their souls rest in peace. We empathize with every family that lost any individual or that's even had any hitch with any individual in their family during elections. But if you are laying blame at the doorstep of the president, you are only telling us that during your 8 years, all the Tripoli by-elections and the people that died during your time are people you killed yourself, if indeed.
You just heard Dr. Ezekiel. Gentlemen, we are time is up. So my guests were David Bondi, the Member of Parliament for Trifo Etimokwa, as well as Dr. Ezekiel Obeng, and he's a member of the NPP communication team. This segment is all. Can you please mute them? This segment is always brought to you by Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Take advantage of the freebies. They are offering free prostate screening, free fertility screening at their various locations. Sports is coming up next. You want to stay for that.